welcome to another Teacher's Corner. I'm Teacher Kirby, and today we're going to go through the Kobali set. Now, this set is actually pretty hard gotten. I'm going to tell you how to get it first. It is a free set, so the way you get it is you go into episodes and you play through at the very end of the Delta Quadrant, the mission Dust to Dust, where Captain Harry Kim of the USS Rhode Island needs your help in solving a most peculiar mystery. You end up with Captain Kim, Old Kim. Captain Kim is Old Kim, Young Kim, and Evil Kim. This is the one with the maze, the evil platforms. It's got it all. So it can be a difficult mission to play. So yes, you have to play Dust to Dust 3 times to get all 3 pieces, the deflector, the engines, and the shields. There is a 4th piece, we'll talk about that later, because I do not have it equipped, and we'll go over why. But to get the first 3 pieces, the engines, deflector, and shields, you do need to play the mission Dust to Dust. In order to do that, you do need to be level 56. So it is a little easier to get than the Soul set, which I went over in a different Teacher's Corner. So you can get it a little earlier. And so now, without any further ado, let's go over the Kobali set. Alright, so the deflector, pretty nice, especially if you're looking to tank. It has some good hull restoration at 35, some shield restoration. So hull restoration means that your hull will heal a little faster. Shield restoration, your shields will heal a little faster. Hull capacity means that you'll have you'll have a few more hit points. Words are hard to get them out of my mouth. Okay, so hull capacity means you'll have a few more hit points. Shield capacity, your shield will have a few more shield hit points. And then, of course, a little bit of control expertise, meaning that if you have grav wells, for example, they'll pull a little harder. Okay? Alright, and your engines will give you plus 16.3 flight speed, efficient at high power levels. That means the more energy they have, the better your engines will function. It gives you a little bit of turn rate. To self 3% at 3% to 10.5%. Recharge time reduction on hull and shield bridge officer abilities. Recharge time reduction scales with engine power level. So the higher your power level, the more recharge time reduction on hull and shield bridge officer healing abilities. So these are things like OX2 structural integrity field, science team, hazard emitters, emergency power to shields, things like that. Anything that heals your hull or heals your shields. Okay, 10%, not that much. It takes 30% to get an ability down to global, down to what we call global, in other words, down to the shared cooldown time. So 10%, you're a third of the way down to global. So with other cooldowns, this could be useful. But remember, it's not for all abilities. It's only for hull and shield healing abilities. So interesting, but not earth-shattering. Alright, and 16.5% full impulse flight speed. So you get a a, slight increase in full impulse flight speed. Alright, and then of course your normal full impulse. And moving right along, we're going to skip the warp core, we'll talk about that later. And moving on to shields. So we have 7,366.6 maximum shield capacity. It does have 10% bleed through and a good amount of at 850 shield regeneration every 6 seconds and plus 10 incoming hull healing to self, or plus 10%. So that means you have it. You'll have stronger hull heals for yourself with this shield. Alright, so I said we were going to skip the warp core. You'll notice, if you pay attention, I have the Iconian warp core here. This is, if you look at everything, a 4-piece set. I do not have the 4th piece, but I do have a friend who does have it. So my friend was nice enough, let's lower that so you don't go nuts there, was nice enough to allow me to take a shot of this. Alright, so you can see it. So this is the field stabilizing warp core. This is of course at Mark 12. So these bonuses may go up a little bit at 13. So we have plus 7.5 additional shield power. Bonus increases at low shield power. Okay. So you'll have a bit more power if your shield power is low. Plus 5 maximum shield power. So in other words, if your shield power is capped at 125, this will give you 130. Plus 17.5 Starship Hull Restoration, and this improves hull healing. So in other words, it'll be a little faster. Okay. And add 7.5% of your shield power to your auxiliary power as bonus power. So it'll boost your aux just a little bit. And it has 50% recharge time to reduction to slipstream drive. Okay, it also has a Kobali shield capacitor, which is a player-based area of effect. 5 kilometers, that means 5 kilometers around you. Shield heal and shield power buff. That means it gives you 6,056.7 shield regeneration to nearby allies. So 5 kilometers around you, your allies would get this. Okay? Plus 6,056.7 shield regen to nearby allies, plus 15 shield power settings for 10 seconds to nearby allies, and repairs disabled shields of nearby allies, and has a 4-minute recharge. This is a clickable ability. Now the important thing to remember, it does say to allies, not to self, but the important thing to remember is you are an ally. Okay? So that means all of these things happen to you as well as to any ally within 5 kilometers. Okay? But the other important thing to remember, it has a 4-minute recharge. Okay? So, 2 important factors there. This is a large shield regeneration. This is a pretty good shield power buff. Okay, but it does last for a short time, only 10 seconds. Repairs disabled shields of nearby allies. I don't know how important that will be, but usually disabled shields come back on pretty quickly on their own. But the long recharge time, that means you have to choose the right time to use it. Okay. So, now that that's done, Star Trek Online. Okay, so let's go over the the buffs here. Alright, so we have the set. So the 2-piece set bonus, 0.2 hull regeneration. It does increase as hull hit points decreases, so you will get more as your hull goes lower. However, 0.2 isn't all that much, and if you get more hull regeneration, your hull's not going to go low quite as fast, because hull regen means your hull's going to heal up faster. So important to remember that. 3-piece set bonus, Kobali nanite screen. This is passive. So this says when receiving damage while at 25% or less hull hit points, 100% chance, so that means you will get the thing to apply, 100% chance to apply Kobali nanite screen. Self, 15,000 temporary hit points for 15 seconds. Can occur once every 120 seconds. Okay? So that means once every 2 minutes. If your hull gets below 25%, you get 15,000 temporary hit points. And they last for only 15 seconds. Okay? But remember, your hull has to get below 25%. That is a good thing if you're tanking and your hull does get that low. That is a good thing. It's kind of a, oh crap. So it's not terrible. Okay? Because as a tank, you do want to survive. So this is not a terrible thing for a tank. Okay? And of course, the 4-piece set bonus affects friend and self. 20 players max. So this will affect pets. So you need to be kind of careful. 5-kilometer spheres. They have to be close to you. And it has a 2-minute recharge. When receiving energy damage, nearby allies receive hull healing equal to 20% of incoming damage for 15 seconds. Now this is, because it has, you see this is an activatable. The 3-piece set bonus is passive because you have to be at 25% hull or less. Okay, so 25%. This one is an activatable. Okay, so basically, if you want to be able to heal your allies or yourself even, if you're receiving a lot of damage, you can click this and you get hull healing equal to 20% of your incoming damage for 15 seconds. So this is similar to reverse shield polarity, where energy damage heals your shields instead of depleting them. This is kind of the same thing, but instead of healing your shields, it heals your hull. But it only does it for 15 seconds and it has a 2-minute recharge. So you have to hit it at the right time. But the good thing is it does affect everybody within 5 kilometers. So that's kind of a nice little twist. Okay. So, yeah. So that is a nice little twist. So this is a good set for a tank / healer because it does have some interesting properties for a healer, like the 4-piece. If you have the 4-piece. Now, the reason I don't have the 4-piece is because the 4-piece came with the Kobali ship, which was an anniversary ship. I forget which year, but it was the last year before they went exclusive. So, either last year or the second to last year before they went exclusive. By the time I realized it was something I really probably should get, they had gone exclusive and you couldn't reslot, unfortunately. So I missed my chance to get it. So if you got the anniversary ship, that's where the warp core comes from. That's also where the lovely console, which is not part of this set, comes from. But this is a semi-decent tanking set. I'll be honest, the Soul set is probably a little better for tanking as far as your free sets go. But this is a nice one. It does have the 15,000 temporary hit points. It does have, if you do have the warp core, it does have the reactive nanite screen, which can be very nice, like a reverse shield polarity. So it's a reverse hull polarity for your hull. So it is kind of nice. But it's a decent tanking ship or tanking set. If you don't have the warp core and you need a free warp core, similar to the Soul set, you can do the mission Butterfly. Where is it? Butterfly, I believe it is.
Captain
Let me
Nog
double
is
check.
waiting for you.
Hey, okay. Captain Nog will have to wait for a while. Let me find it. There it is. And you'll see, there it is. The temporal phase overcharged. And you'll see that has some nice things for, it is a decent free warp core. So it does have some nice things. It adds to your aux power. Let's see, it adds to your EPS a little bit. It does some nice things. Basically, it is a nice free warp core. So if you don't have anything else, you can go for that. But you do have to be level. Go back. What level do you have to be? I think you have to be. Why are you guys always putting me? Where is it? I think you have to be 59. Yep, you do. You have to be level 59 to get that one. So that is a good alternative to the Iconian core or something else if you don't have the Kobali core, is the core from Butterfly. But, so in short, Kobali set, it's an all-around nice free set. It can be used for tanking if you are too low to get the Soul Defense set, or if you have, especially if you have the warp core, it can be a semi-decent tanking set with that 4-piece set bonus. So something to consider. And if you don't have the warp core, you can get the temporal warp core from the Butterfly mission. Alright, and a special thank you, by the way, to Acersage from the Continuum TeamSpeak, who let me take the screenshot of his Kobali warp core for the purposes of this video. Alright, so this has been Teacher Kirby with a Teacher's Corner. You can hear the discussion of Teacher's Corner live on the Pilot Review Show every Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll see you there.